surface, it doesn't sound too exciting, but if not for transportation and logistics, we'd be going nowhere, literally. In this morning's Business Insight, the Business Courier puts the spotlight on 20 people from the region who are front and center in this important field. We couldn't invite all 20 to be with us, so we asked John Claflin to represent the group. John has led rail projects in Houston, Denver, Durham, and Portland, and now he's here in Cincinnati leading the project for TransDev, the largest private sector operator for transit in North America. He joins Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. John, Jamie.
Thanks, Allie. John, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
So I know a lot of kids, go to high school, go to college, they know what they want to do. How did you get into this industry? Did you know you wanted to be in transportation, or did you stumble into it?
It's kind of a happenstance thing. I actually started out in psychology and education, but I've spent 37 years in the industry now. It's the love of my life. It's a passion. Started out as a rail mechanic. I've been an executive in several projects and in several transit agencies and in the private sector for the last 10 years.
Okay. So with transportation, obviously with any industry, how important and how big of a deal is all the technology changes?
Well, the technology's actually improved so much over that 37 years that it's unreal as to what it can do for the passengers, what it can do for us in trying to maintain and operate the system. From the real-time information on the platforms, apps that can tie into various types of interfaces, other modes of transportation that correlate, either the metro information system for bus transfer to buses. Also, the technology on the vehicle itself. These are really pretty efficient, one of the most efficient vehicles you can find, simply because they're electric. Yeah. But more importantly, the technology, they regenerate power back onto the line, so they use, through braking, they regenerate power and gives us a real energy efficient system.
I was going to say, so you're talking about some good sustainability things.
Right,
there.
Exactly.
Helping the environment, not wasting. That's great. Now, Ali said you've been in several other markets. Obviously, one of those was Portland, which Cincinnati has used to measure themselves against a lot. How is Cincinnati looking different than some of these other markets that you've been as far as transportation issues?
That's kind of the beauty of it. When I started in Portland in the 70s, they didn't have rail. It was a fairly fractured community in the sense that there wasn't density in all the areas. They built out 15 miles out of downtown to the first line to Gresham, Oregon, and it all infilled. And I see the same opportunities here. There's been so much development in Portland, both around the light rail and also the streetcar system they have. And that's what I think is exciting about Cincinnati, is that it's ripe for this type of economic growth, sustainability, having an option for their customers, for their citizens and their visitors, having something else to utilize. That's exciting and different. And once folks are educated with it and about where it goes and what they can do for their own life, and saving time and expense as well, because not having to pay for parking, being able to enjoy a meal downtown after a game or before, or whatever they want to do, it's an option they don't have today. And that's what's happened in these other cities, both in Portland, Denver, Houston, and all the rest of the cities, especially in the West, where they have new light rail systems and trolley cars. And trolley and streetcar have become a way of life in most of the cities for redevelopment vitality. So it's become really a...
Well, I liked in the article that we have in the paper, you mentioned that when you were flying in, you asked a lady sitting beside you what she thought about it, and I guess her comment wasn't real positive, but your quote was, just wait. Make that decision later, after it gets here.
She'd been a student. She just graduated, got her first job, and she thought it was going to be a waste of money because, a lot of people think that the infrastructure is something they'll never use. And that's what I said, is all you have to do is just give me a call a couple of years after this and tell me how, or if you ever use it, and tell me how you use it. Yeah. Because that's what happens. People are, once they become educated, once they see it, most people think of trains, they think of freight trains. Unless you've been in a city where there is light rail or streetcars, you don't have any idea of what it really is.
Absolutely.
So it's an educational process we go through.
What kind of challenges are you seeing? What's your biggest challenge, I guess I should say?
Well, the biggest challenge is that, and I don't really see it as a challenge, I see it as an opportunity, is to get it up, start it, be safe with it, make sure that we educate the public about the hazards of moving trains and the wire above, educate them on the effectiveness of using it within their daily routine of life, what they can do, where they can go with it. And then getting it started up successfully without any glitches. What we want is a successful startup, because that's really what sells it for future alignments.
Everything looked like on time, on schedule as of now?
Our destination is to be ready to go in September of next year, and I have no doubt that we'll be there.
Well, I'm so excited. I live in Clifton Heights, just up from Findlay Market. I work right downtown, so you know I know I'm going to be a big user.
Good.
You know, it's nice and close and convenient. I have a child in D.C. and I have a child in New York. That I mean, that's all they think. That's is hopping on a train. So I hope to follow suit. Well, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll have you back on before we get things up and running. But we appreciate you being on.
Well, my pleasure.
All right, thanks.